Of course, we'll start with Game 5, though, between Denver and Miami, and a game that was, for me, the anticipation coming into Friday night was as big as any game in this series. Because game 1, you're like, okay, it's a feel-out game for both sides. Denver took care of business. Game 2, Miami responded the way that they were supposed to respond, stole home court. Game 3, Jokić and Murray were out of this world great. Jokić with a 30-20-10 game. Murray with a 34-point triple-double. Both were spectacular. Denver won fairly comfortably. And I said, coming into Game 4, I said, we've had 2 superstar players in the last 2 NBA Finals preceding this one, down 2-1 with dealing with a lower body injury. And nobody thought that their team could win. I should say nobody. Many thought their team couldn't win the series. Giannis in 2021 was down 2-1 with a leg injury against the Phoenix Suns and dropped something. I forgot the number. It was like 26, 14, and 8 and had the second greatest block in the history of the NBA Finals on DeAndre Ayton to basically save the game. The next year, my man Steph Curry, down 2-1 with a sprained ankle, sprained foot, whatever it was. On the road in Boston, guarded by the Defensive Player of the Year that season, dropped 43 and 10. Again, both Giannis and Steph, again, led their teams to those Game 4 wins. Both guys went on to lead their teams to the title, both in 6 games. I said, okay, if Jimmy Butler is truly who folks say he is, and who I've said he is, religiously, playoff Jimmy. It's the game. These are the games. You got to validate that. And he didn't. This game for Miami, of the 3 losses at this point, this is by far the most gut-wrenching. Game 1, okay, Denver did what they were supposed to do, right? They got a ton of extra rest over Miami. It was rest, not rust, that came into play. Game 3, okay, yeah, Denver stole back home court, but it's not do or die. It's not, a do or die game. We have to win. Matter of fact, I feel like Denver kind of had to win that game in order to not allow Miami to get the upper hand. Jokić, for the first time, certainly in these finals, dare I say all playoffs long, had a, it's fine. He played okay. By his standards, okay is 23 and 12 with 4 assists. Again, the Heat only held him to 4 assists, similar to how they did in Game 2. Was inefficient, 8 for 19 from the field. Was in foul trouble most of the game. You'll take that if you're a Heat fan. Jamal Murray, while he was tremendous, he was like Jokić in terms of distributing the basketball and has been all series long. All 4 games thus far, folks. Jamal Murray with 10 or more assists. He's been spectacular. 12 assists for Jamal Murray, but 15 points on 5 for 17 shooting. So he couldn't throw in the ocean for the majority of the night. And you're like, okay. The super duper star for the Nuggets, Nikola Jokić, the star player, Jamal Murray, both play well below their standard. But then you have Aaron Gordon. Career playoff high 27, was on both ends spectacular. Could not have been better. I mean, we know what the lob threat he's been going back to his days in Orlando. Obviously, he was traded to the Denver Nuggets midseason about 2 years ago and has really kind of evolved into Denver's 3rd best player. We've always thought it, I guess, just based off of salary and based off of expectations where he was drafted. We expected it to be Michael Porter Jr. He's been bad this whole, Michael Porter Jr. has been the weak link for the Denver Nuggets all throughout, and they've won in spite of him. Now, in fairness, he's done a good job on the boards. What do you have in terms of only had 3 rebounds the other night, but only played 23 minutes. And then he had Bruce Brown off the bench, 8 for 11 shooting, gave you 21 points. I've always been a big Bruce Brown fan of this show. I think he's a good 3-point shooter and a tremendous defender on the perimeter. Gets the likes of Vincent, Jimmy Butler, whoever it may be. On the other hand, speaking of Mr. Butler, was efficient. I mean, 9 for 17, 25, 7 and 7. By no means is that a bad stat line. Jimmy played fine. Wasn't bad. Quite honestly, kind of played better than Jokić. But Miami didn't need fine. They needed Game 5 in 2020 against the Lakers. They needed that 40-point triple-double from Jimmy. I predicted, what was my stat line? I think it was 33, 8 and 7, which came close to the 8 and 7. In terms of the rebounds and assists, I said 33, 8 and 7 from Jimmy was what I thought he would give. I thought that, some of the Miami players, some of the shooters would shoot better for the field, especially from 3. Again, Miami number 1 in these playoffs in shooting the 3-pointer, 32% last night, or Friday night. I'm sorry, 32%. You see Miami keeps throwing the zone at Jokić. Again, they're asking him to score. He committed some really careless fouls on the defensive end of the floor that got him in foul trouble to start the 4th quarter. But again, it was Jamal Murray setting the other guys up. It was Bruce Brown knocking down open shots. KCP hit a dagger three with about 2 minutes left. You had Aaron Gordon all night, knocking down open looks, being a lob threat consistently for Jokić and Murray. That was as demoralizing a win as you could possibly, or a loss as you could possibly have for the Miami Heat. And as, oh my God, we stole that game if you're Denver. And sort of the flashpoint moment of the series. We're like, you know what? One team's just better than the other. There's nothing wrong with that. And I listen, I said Denver was better coming in. I thought Miami would have the advantage in coaching with Eric Spoelstra. I thought they had the advantage in three-point shooting, which we know this is a shooter's league today, ever since Steph Curry changed the game. And I thought the fact that Miami has numerous guys in their roster that not only have extensive playoff experience, but have championship experience, championship pedigree. Guys like Kevin Love, Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, Bam have been to a finals. Again, people laugh at this, but the influence of Udonis Haslem still has its effect. They're just not as talented as Denver. Michael Malone, while not Eric Spoelstra, has coached a tremendous series through the first 4 games. And now Denver in a position tonight, obviously, are a 8.5-point favorites. Again, Tyler Hero, according to multiple reports, is going to try to play tonight. He's going to suit up. I don't anticipate Hero is going to have that much of an impact. I don't. I could see him being put out there to start the second quarter, see what he's got, maybe run a couple plays for him. But again, he broke his hand just 2 months ago. And I saw him in shoot around today. He doesn't look good. Okay, like the shooting motion doesn't look great. The hand still doesn't look all that comfortable. He's got a big wrap around it. I don't see Tyler Hero having that much of an impact. I could see him playing maybe 8 to 10 minutes. And once the Heat coaches are like, okay, he doesn't. It's a last desperation effort. And I don't blame Miami. You know, your season on the line, you might as well try it. If Tyler Hero is willing to say, hey, let's see how it works. Maybe I do play well. Maybe I am the boost that this team needs to try and steal a Game 5 winning, extend this series. Maybe, but I don't anticipate that to be the case. So I'll predict this game at the end of today's show. Here's what I will say, though. I don't think if the Heat win, Tyler Hero is going to have a whole lot to do with it. And I think if the Nuggets win, Tyler Hero is going to have a whole lot to do with that. Because every shot the Hero gets with an injured hand is a shot that Jimmy, Vincent, honestly, I'd have Tyler Hero shooting with a broken hand that I would Max Strus right now. He's shooting like 20% on open threes, for crying out loud. Gee whiz. Might have considered benching him. But one team's just better than the other. And if you're Miami, you go into this offseason, regardless of how this series ends. Now, if you win the series, probably a different story. But if you lose tonight, you're like, okay, we blew through Milwaukee, took care of the Knicks, beat Boston in 7 games in a hostile Game 7 environment. And you sit back and you say, okay, we lost to a better team in the finals because they were bigger than us, played in some instances smarter than us, and they have more shot creators than us. And oftentimes we can talk about three-point shooting all we want. And again, there was sort of this thing like, oh, Denver didn't shoot well in Game 3 from three-point range and still won. I didn't think the three-point battle had anything to do with Game 3 whatsoever. It had everything to do with the fact that Jokić was getting everybody involved, scoring himself, and Jamal Murray couldn't miss. And you had Christian Brown come off the bench giving you 15 points on like 7 or 8 shots. Like I didn't think the three-point battle had much to do with Game 3. This one, sure, that was the case. But you also have to have guys that can get their own shot. And outside of Jimmy, a healthy Tyler Hero, Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, depending on the night, did they really have that guy? Why do you think the Damian Lillard rumors are just heating up? No pun intended, Miami. Why do you think they were heating up? Because Miami can really use him in this series, a guy who can get his own shot where he wants it, when he wants it. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube. Be sure to click that big red subscribe button and go check out the other clips and full shows of Carving It Up Live. Have a blessed day.